Welcome back to On the Nose. It's a podcast where myself and Thad Taylor look back on the goings-on in terms of the trading floor.
Goings-on's right.
The goings-on. There was plenty goings-on last weekend. Of course, we had the big New Zealand Oaks meeting at Trentham, but we'll head down south, first of all, Thad, and check out the Riccarton meeting. And, there's quite a bit going on.
Yeah.
Down there, right from the off.
Yeah, 10 races down there at Riccarton Pool. Hello to you and everyone out there. Absolutely there was. Look, no point in sugarcoating it. It was a winning day for the TAB, particularly at Trentham, which we'll get to in a minute, but it was around $100,000 at Riccarton over the 10 races, and we can start off with race number one.
Race number one, that was a rating 75 over 2,600 metres, and Jasmine Fawcett gets Melfi Rosa home at around the $10 mark.
Yeah, interesting. We opened Star Ballot favourite in this race and got the blows, to be fair, 448 to 750. Initial move came for Rockmont, Terry Ray 6 into $4, and even Musayev was very well backed as well early on. And then the move came for Strong, from around 10 into 550, and it Quinella the last start with Melfi Rosa, and Melfi Rosa was 10 out to 15, and it just didn't make sense. Perfectly honest, the marketplace corrected itself late, with Strong being 10 into 550. Melfi Rosa was 10 out to 15, and then everyone went, well, hang on a minute, if Strong's 550, Melfi Rosa
Something's
can't be
not right.
15. So it came into 750 late. So it was quite well backed late. It was a break-even result. As I say, if something doesn't make sense, if you maybe you're right. And this was one where if Strong was shortening, then Melfi Rose almost had to as well. So it was 15 into 750 late, and duly saluted. But because there was money for Rockmont, Musayev, and Strong, it meant it was break even around Melfi Rose and no money Star Ballot.
Oh, good spread of betting on race one.
Yeah, it was, and that's sort of the theme of the day, particularly at Trentham. Just such good betting fields that. The money was extremely well spread amongst some of those favoured runners. So, we'll get to obviously Trentham in a minute. But, yeah, as you say, good betting races right across both cards.
Race two, it's a rating 65 over the mile, and the Diviner with Brandon May gets home at around the same sort of price as the first race.
Yes, 12 into 10 very late around the Diviner. Had some support. It was still plus 15,000 for the TAB. They nearly got it right with Pomanda. Sam won for Sam won. It was $18 into $11. That was a losing result. And Cosmetic Virtue was the worst result in the race. It was $5 into $3.70. They're really the only two they wanted, Pomanda and Cosmetic Virtue. Pomanda ran second, 8 into 11. The Diviner, as I say, got to 12, just back into 10, right, sort of at the death. But it was still plus 15,000 for the TAB.
Race three, it was for the 3-year-olds over 1,400 metres. And, there she is, Samantha Wynn. She didn't quite get it done in race two. Race three, Calanzor.
Yeah, Calanzor. And another mover. So she's got a bit of momentum at the moment, Sam, just in general, and certainly in the marketplace as well. So we saw, obviously, Pomanda nearly get the job done. It was 8 into 11. They got it right again. This time, Calanzor, 18 into 10. I guess the story of this race, that was around minus 10,000, Calanzor. Story of this race was the lack of money for Dream of the Moon. We opened at 270 now. Te Akea runner resumed with a win. Could have gone either of two ways. It could have crashed into $1.90 and saluted.
It didn't.
It went the other way out to 350, which would have made supporters of Dream of the Moon very nervous. And that means we saw money for Lily. We saw money for Little Xena. We saw money for Those Ocean Eyes. We saw money for the Boss Lady. So basically everything that wasn't the favourite, there was a bit of a nibble at, and Calanzor as well. So Calanzor, 18 into 10, minus 10, but a lot of movement in that each way middle market because of the lack of money for the Te Akea favourite. And so something else to keep an eye on if you a well-supported stable with what you'd think would be a well-supported runner potentially heading the other way, and the marketplace might have some knowledge that you need to sit up and listen to.
So Dream of the Moon ran to market expectations.
I think that'd be fair to say. It was I think it finished 5th or 6th or somewhere around there, but never looked a winning chance really at any stage. It wasn't unlucky. The marketplace knows, Paul. The market knows, in all its wisdom and power. So, yeah, exactly. That's just one where you want to be watching and you're thinking, okay, if this is going out when I, normally it potentially would be going in, well, we maybe back a couple. You spread your bets and back a couple to potentially beat it, and that's what they did here, and they got it right with Calanzal.
Race 4, 1,400 metres, an open handicap, and Connor O'Kieran gets home. Another one at around the $8, $9, $10 mark.
Yeah. Look, he's caused us some headaches in his life. Has Connor O'Kieran. I see now with Anna Furlong. It was with Robbie Patterson and Sandy Cookson, and so he's well-travelled, Connor O'Kieran, but he's a gun fresh. He's a gun fresh up. Maybe the marketplace missed that to a degree. He was hovering around that $8.50 price all day. Look, good old perfect scenario. He was $4.50 into $3.50. He was a mover again. He deserves to be. Gee, he ran second. He's just I just love him.
You didn't back him, did you?
No, I didn't back him. Okay. I didn't back him, not with the big weight, but I just like the horse in terms of what he does and how he turns up and how he keeps competing. And, you just have a bit of a soft spot for him. I didn't back him. I would have been disappointed if I had because he ran second. But, look, obviously Connor O'Kieran was plus 20,000. Candy Cane was the big mover in the race down the bottom. Terry Ray, Kylie Williams, 15 into $6 out of its grade. If it gets back to a 75, Candy Cane, you'd be paying attention. It drew well, ran well enough, but I think they're just a little bit outclassed at this stage. But back to 75, watch out for Candy Cane. But yeah, Connor O'Kieran, an unusual win for that horse for the TAB plus 20.
Oh, nice. Race 5, it's for the juveniles over the 1,000 metres. And Zelia, yeah.
Zelia even. Let's go Zelia.
Zelia?
Yeah, okay. I'm happy with that. Look, say a 2-horse race in terms of the customers. One of the best bet runners of the day in terms of a market move was Best Rose, $2.60 into $1.60. And look, they've been competing Zelia and Best Rose throughout. And Best Rose went from $2.60 into $1.60. Zelia went from $4.20 out to $6. David Walsh had put the blinkers on. And look, I think potentially the marketplace, well, hindsight being 2020, of course, Paul, maybe overreacted. And Zelia got out to too big a price and Best Rose got too short. It meant we only won $20,000 on Zelia. I think some people thought $6 was a good price late, and I believe it was, and certainly looked a good price as she was romping away by about 6 or 7 lengths. So that was the story of the race. It was just those 2 horses dominating the marketplace, and the marketplace potentially pulling slightly the wrong rein. The one horse I do want to mention out of the race, it was just a little bit of a bite for it at long odds. It was a first starter called A Lotta Go. It was 27 into 20 late when almost nothing else was attracting any money, and particularly a first starter receiving sort of a push in the marketplace late. We want to be watching, and the run from A Lotta Go, very nice. So mark that down going forward. A Lotta Go looks like a juvenile, I think, by Tungaloa. So interesting sire. Mark down A Lotta Go going forward, but yeah, plus 20 Zelia.
A Lotta Go sounds like a character from an Austin Powers movie. Let's go to race 6, and it was a rating 65 over 1,200 metres. East and West at around $20. Surely, whoa, this is good.
Yeah, it is. It's we opened $7 East and West. Fair to say it was friendless, but because it's a stable that is generally well supported in the Pittman stable, sometimes you see the money for these drifting horns, and they're getting out to too big a price. Look, how it paid 20 on the totes, I don't know. It was a plus $10,000 win, so there were better results in the race than East and West. All the money was with discretion rules at the top of the book for the Tiakia team. It was $6.50 into $3.50 minus 70. I mentioned on trackside on Saturday, Tiakia had 2 others in the race. We opened Matakatu at 7 and Hooray for Harry at 14. There was more money on Hooray for Harry, and I think actually started a point shorter in the market than Matakatu, and ran a good race, Hooray for Harry, finished second. So that'd be one to watch out for potentially. And Avitas is another shortener in the race, 14 into $8.50. But yeah, as a drifting winner from a well-supported stable meant it wasn't the biggest result, but yeah, a surprising price around East and West.
Race 7, the Hororata Gold Cup over the 1,800 metres, and Riviera Rebel with Jasmine Fawcett picks up a double for the day at $4.50.
Yeah, started favourite. Harley opened Harlech favourite. Riviera Rebel 6 into 5, but there were plenty to back. Here's one of these races they wanted to be on a few here, Paul, which actually meant that Riviera Rebel was plus 25 for the TAB. They really liked He's a Doozy. Giving He's a Doozy one more crack. I'm sure they'll give it potentially one more than that. But look, he didn't finish. He finished down the track, unfortunately, for his supporters. Fellini for the Tiakia stable was particularly well backed, and even Pro Serve. So there were 3 losing results and 3 well backed runners. Elegant Lady shortened $8.50, into $6.50. And Harlech went the other way, $4.20 out to $7. So, look, because of the spread of money and the support for those 3, Fellini, He's a Doozy, Pro Serve, Riviera Rebel 6 into 5 was plus 25, and Elegant Lady 8.60 into 6.50 ran second. So the marketplace got it right, but maybe the customer base not so much.
Righty-ho, race 8, the feature race of the day, the South Island Breeders' Stakes, the Group 3 for the fillies and mares, over the mile. Wow, a Pitman runner out at $20+, Epi Beale.
Yes, 15 opened, out to 26, back to 17 late. So the marketplace says 26 was too high. So he closed, 22s on the totes. It was plus 20. Again, a little bit like East and West, a drifting Pitman runner that they didn't mind meant there were better results in the race, but I'm not going to be crying poor. Plus 20,000. They almost got it right here. Lofties. Yeah, exactly.
Is that the former Northerner?
It is. Now, I can't remember. Where's the Markwood Lodge colours, I think. And look at one down south over ground. It might have even been the Dunedin Gold Cup. The start prior. Back to 1,600 against fillies and mares. It was 11 into 5.50. Our man Robert Dennis, Sam Wynn. So there was a bit going for it in fairness, and all but got there. And Quinta Bell's a horse that they just love backing. Doesn't matter what she lines up. And she was 8.50 to 7.50 late. So the 2 losing results were Lofty's Gift and Quinta Bell, which meant Epi Beale was plus 20. I will mention In Her Presence, Kenny Moore has had a couple of wins in a row down south since trekking down from up north. But it was running in 65 grade and then stepped up to Fillies and Mares Company. Was only giving the top Fillies and Mares half a kg. It was $34 into $15 and was a big run. So In Her Presence for Kenny Moore, one to follow, I would suggest. But Epi Beale plus 20 there in the Thoroughbred Breeders.
Race 9, a rating 75 over the 1,200 metres, and Toa Haka. David Walsh.
Walshy.
A double for the day.
Exactly. Walshy with a double. Watch out. He's got some talented gallopers, and Toa Haka goes back to back as well. $9.50 out to $12, plus 15,000. They backed Vanderdonk. They liked the horse. They liked backing it. Even though it was a slight easer in the market, it was a losing result. Full Moon Fever was $7.50 into $5.50. That was a move and a losing result. They were the 2 worst results in the race, Vanderdonk and Full Moon Fever. There was some educated money for Movie Girl, around $15 into $12. Came up the inside, finished second to Toa Haka. Maybe a win not too far away from Movie Girl, but yeah, the Walshy double, Toa Haka plus 15,000.
Final race of the day down. Riccarton, rating 65 over the mile, and Mr. Bully T at around $7.
Yeah, and then speaking of horses going back to back, I think Mr. Bully T's done that now as well for Lance Robinson, and look, he was 8.50 into 6.50, so well backed. Losing result, minus 10,000. There were 2 big movers in the race. Generation Joy for Terry Kennedy, 17 into 5.50. Boxed on well. Look, beaten on the corner and boxed on well. I would suggest back to Wingatui. Potentially, you'd be watching Generation Joy very closely. And Victorian Charm was 11 into 6.50, was sneaking up the rail. Ridden Cole came from last and ran a good race. So another one I'd be marking down would be Victorian Charm. But Mr. Bully T was a shortener and a losing result, minus 10,000.
So overall, as you mentioned earlier on, plus 100,000 for the day at Riccarton.
Yeah, small but steady the day at Riccarton. So, yeah, as I say, there weren't any huge results, but, we just sort of slowly accumulated there, to be fair.
Okay, on to Trentham, and it was New Zealand Oaks Day last Saturday. Race 1, a rating 65 over the 1,600 metres, and Alan Sherrick did us a favour last week, or 2 weeks back, at New Plymouth, I think it was.
Yes.
Did he do us a favour at Trentham in race 1?
Well, he sort of did, because Carla Gio, I don't know, my Mexican again's good with my African.
Carajillo.
Yeah. Was very well backed, even though it got out to 5.50. That was the worst result by a country mile. Now, here we go at Trentham with big, wide open betting fields. They want to be on a few, which means, normally Truce being 416 to 340 on an Alan Sherrick runner, first race of the day, potentially a horrible result, meant it was a break even roughly around Truce because of the money for Karahio, because of the money for Just Call Me Johnny. Truce break even. What Dancing Dream had some support down the bottom of the book there. It was around 21 to 14. So I say, mark these money movers down. Doesn't go on for no reason. Dancing Dream 21 to 14. Break even, race 1. The Alan Sherrick trained. I'll get it out. Truce. There we go.
Truce. Yeah.
Very good.
Right, race 2 over the 1,400 metres, Thad, and we've got a $30 shot here. So obviously, we made a wee bit of money here on Basil Warrior with Jim Collett and Leah Hemme.
Yeah, fair to say. There were a couple of big results on the day that sort of contributed to the win at Trentham. This was the first one of them.
Just getting over the favourite.
Extremely well backed. Now, what was it? Amaya Star, was it, Paulie?
Amaya Star,
yeah. So that was 420 into 250, Amaya Star. We had one bold Gigolo in the race. That was extremely well backed for Robbie Patterson. It's fair to say Basil Warrior was, 14 out to 31 and was the best result in the race. So we're talking plus 100,000 for Basil Warrior. There were a few shorteners to mark down here. Bannon led them up and on a breakneck speed. Got taken on. It was 15 into 550. Champagne Linda's going well. 13 into $11. That ran a nice fourth, and there was money for Pacific Princess as well. 21 into $11 for John Barry, but Basil Warrior just one everyone missed, to be fair.
Champagne Linda, top 3. Very, very nice. But
he's a man that's backed it.
The difference between Basil Warrior winning and Amir Star winning, was it quite significant? Obviously, a great result with Basil Warrior winning. I'm guessing a negative result if Amir Star.
Probably minus 100,000. I would say roughly.
Could have been a $200 swing.
200,000.
Yeah.
That's right. And one bold Gigolo did take money in the race, so could have been worse in Maya Star because that sort of balanced that result, but still it was close to 100,000 in Maya Star. So as you say, if it had got the gap a little bit earlier in Maya Star and pushed through, well, we might be sitting here saying we're minus 100. Basil Warrior comes from last off a hot tempo, and what surprised everyone, to be fair.
No surprises in race 3 over the 1,400 metres. Dr. Ascar at around $5.
He keeps winning. Keeps winning, Dr. Ascar. No surprises to a lot because he was a genuine move. He was the Tabby hot horse. He was 7 into $4.40. He was minus 20,000 on the race. No Rain never went the other way, so they knew that was our opening favourite. I ran a game enough race, 448 to $6. Gentian Blue, back from Aussie, no money, ran accordingly.
Yes, indeed.
Exactly. So you'd be wanting to see it again, Gentian Blue, I would say, before you got too keen, because it's a good horse on its day. So, anyway, just wasn't ready first up. Rayette right down the bottom there, 19 into $5.50.
Wow,
Yeah, decent move. Finished 4th, I think. Yes, it did. And it over-raced in behind them. He had excuses and sort of had Vittorio Veneto laying in on it up the straight a wee bit and got out late. All I'm saying is mark down Rayette for the foots there. But Dr. Ascar, losing result, well found. Started favourite when it was an open favourite, minus 20,000.
Race 4, rating 65, down the chute over the 1,200 metres, and a difficult posse for the race commentators with the houses along the chute now, relying on the drone. And you love a drone.
Obviously. I do love a drone. I do like those camera shots over the gates when they start, so you can see how you've jumped, as long as they don't dwell on them too long.
The old speed map. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can see I've jumped as I should, or geez, I've missed it. But anyway, I do quite like that, but is that a necessity because of the houses?
Because I don't think that the race commentator can actually see the horses from his posse with the new houses along the chute there.
So he's calling off the drone.
He's calling off the drone.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind the drone as long as it's used as I like it. Most things, there has to be as I like it.
Well, he called Toss You For at home first at 440.
He did. And 7 into 440. Look, hadn't won in a while. And got the job done. Look, the marketplace got this pretty much right because Toss You For It was 7 into 480. Cooper was 5 into 310. Didn't finish fourth, so it wasn't far away. The big picture was minus 80,000, and that ran third. And La Dulcinea for Patrick Campbell, they took down south, was a big mover. It was 16 into $8, but yeah, because of the money on Cooper, it meant that even though Tossie for it was 7 into 480, it was a break-even result there, the fourth of the day.
Race 5, the St. Ledger over the 2,500 metres, and Wolfgang. We've got a favourite home, have we?
Yeah, we have it. Oh, geez, Marketplace got the spot on, even if our customers didn't, if that makes sense. And what I'm saying here is the two horses that got backed, Wolfgang, one of them, 440 into 280, started favourite, romped down the outside and just picked up Final Return, who was 750 into 480, back out to 650 with the money for Wolfgang. But our customers really like Titty Kaha for whatever reason. No, I can understand why. But Titty Kaha was minus 100,000. Trav was well supported in the race. He's the Auckland Cup winner, so no real surprise there. And there was Mezzabine in the race as well, the New Zealand Cup winner, who had support. So a lot were taking money, which meant that Wolfgang was a small win.
Wow.
Small win, even with that, I guess, with that low lay price, late move, and plenty to back. Meant that it wasn't as bad as you would have thought. So it was around plus 10 for Wolfgang. But the Marketplace got it spot on with the moves around Wolfgang and Final Return, and they quinella the St. Ledger.
Race 6, it was the Cuttle Stakes over the 1,600 metres, and Al Jumala just got home. Was the bob of the head over Pearl of Alsace at around $10.
Yeah, and Pearl of Alsace was the big move, 6 into 4 as well. Started favourite ahead of My Lips Are Sealed, who was a bit friendless. So customers a little bit unlucky there because Pearl of Alsace was particularly good to see you run the sort of race we would expect from Pearl of Alsace. So says that she's getting back to somewhere near her best, which is good to see. A Risque Ruler was up in grey, but it's got a bit of a cult following already, this Risque Ruler, the mare there, for Janelle Miller. 750 out to 10, but that was minus 100,000. Which meant that this was quite a big result, Al Jumala. It was plus 80,000 for Robbie Patterson. Little pipe opener before the Oaks. But, it's a little bit unusual just because, again, such good mares and fillies, plenty to back, and if the right one lands, it can be quite profitable. So, as I say, Pearl of Alsace would have been clearly a losing result. Risque Ruler was the worst result. There was a bit of money for Fall for Cindy, back from Australia. It was around 26 into 18, and it's a little bit unlucky for Cindy, so maybe 1-2 mark down. Hasn't run overly well in New Zealand thus far, but that was certainly just a glimpse of form for Cindy. But yeah, Al Jumala plus 80,000.
Race 7, it was the Group 2 Wellington Guineas, and here was another bob of the head, and the $30 shot got it this time. Vegas Queen and. That man, Kenny Ray.
We're fantastic for Kenny. Probably equally good for the TAB, to be fair. 13 out to 31, so very Basil Warrior like. Vegas Queen, plus 100,000. Tardelli was minus 80,000, 5 into 260. Underperformed for what the Marketplace was saying.
Very much so, yeah.
They went far away here because Archaic Smile was 11 into $9 in a losing result. Britannia Gold got out to 15 and tumbled into $8, and that was quite a nice run as well for around 5th or 6th. So they were two shorteners that were in the money, but when Tardelli got beat, it was probably always going to be a win for the TAB, and Vegas Queen was probably one of the better results in fairness. 13 out to 31 plus 100,000.
Race 8, the feature race of the day, the Group 1 Al Basti Equiworld Dubai, New Zealand Oaks. Yeah, well, she was short, and she got shorter.
Exactly.
And Dubai Gold gave you a few nervous moments down the straight.
And plenty were on too, don't worry. In fact, Dubai Gold was the worst result for the TAB. So there was no way out. This is probably a race we can spend the least amount of time on the whole review here, even though we've got 19 races, and it's the main race. But I will spend a little bit of time on it. Look, like a Lucy, $1.50 into $1.28. And all down trackside, I was saying it's got north of 80% of the hold, and then, so in theory, being backed like it was $1.25 chance. Mm-hmm. So it was no surprise to me to see the price fall out of it late to get to basically $1.25, because that's what the
market was saying.
That's exactly what the market was saying was going to happen, and they were backing literally nothing else to beat it, bar Dubai Gold. Exactly.
There's your Quinella.
The two worst results. Dubai Gold was like minus 120,000, and like a Lucy, even though it had a ridiculously low lay price, it was still minus 60,000. So they got it dead right in the Oaks. She got the job done, much to the joy of multi-punters and single punters alike. So, yeah, they weren't backing anything to beat. Island Life was a little nibble 12 into 950, but they got it dead right, and they did like Dubai Gold, but it got back out to its opening price because of the move for Like a Lucy. But they were the two losing results. They Quinella the Oaks.
Final race of the day, and it was back down the chute over 1,200 metres, and Glamour Tycoon with Billy Pin aboard gets punters. Oh, well. Did he get punters home?
Yeah, he got punters that wanted to invest late, saw the move. I was, if you, again, and not to say listen to me on trackside all the time, but what I did say on trackside on Saturday was, in the last 5 minutes, was in a race that looked incredibly competitive, the marketplace just completely gravitated towards two runners, and they ran the Quinella. Glamour Tycoon and Platinum Attack. Glamour Tycoon was 11 into 480. Platinum Attack was 650 into 350. And they're the only two they wanted, and they ran the Quinella. But one of those races where earlier in the day it just looked so competitive, so many to back. I mean, yeah, the likes of Mystic Park, but that was sort of out to $8 off an opening quote of $5, so just no one wanted to back that in the last 5 minutes. Lux Libertas, who ran very well, she's really popular. She was minus 100,000 for Lux Libertas, as was Mystic Park as well. So the money was well spread. I mean, it was a win to the TAB Glamour Tycoon, even though it was 11 into 480, around 40,000 for Dick Glamour Tycoon plus. But one of those really good betting races where the money was so spread, so much turnover in the last race at Trentham, meant we could get out. But the marketplace knew exactly what to do in that race, and they were the only two they wanted late, and they duly Quinella, Platinum Attack, and the winner, Glamour Tycoon.
Sensational. So overall, did you mention the overall result for the TAB for Trentham?
Plus 300,000 for Trentham. So, and plus 100,000 at Riccarton. So, yeah, it was a winning day, a relatively significant winning day for the TAB. Just a couple of big results. I mean, Basil Warrior was one, Al Jumala and Vegas Queen. They were the three results that sort of swung the day well and truly in the TAB's favour.
Rightio, that's it. We'll be back at Trentham next week, won't we, Thad, for another Group 1 day, size produce?
Yeah, we will. We will. Yes, we'll be back for that. A couple of horses to look out for before we go?
Yeah, you want to pinpoint, and we'll have a look at a couple of replays. So where did you want to head first?
Well, let's go to Riccarton, and we go to the Thoroughbred Breeders. We mentioned it in the thing. This is a couple to mark down and have a look at the run of In Her Presence in the Kenny Moore colours right down the outside there. As I said, it had been winning in 65 grade. It's a former Northerner, stepped up to the fillies and mares, obviously group racing. Only gave her main rivals half a kilogram and was storming home down the outside, and the money was on. This is what we're going to highlight. We're going to highlight when the money goes on and they run, an unlucky race or accordingly. In Her Presence, one to mark down. You'll see it coming down the outside there, 34 into 15. That's for Kenny Moore there. So follow In Her Presence would be my advice.
Okay, and you've got one for us at Trentham as well?
Yeah, I do want to highlight race number 2 on the day there, Paul. It's the Special Conditions Maiden, which was won by Basil Warrior. But there's 2 maidens in the race, and there's not too many. There's winning form in there, being a Special Conditions Maiden. There were 2 maidens. One is Bannon, 15 into 550, big move for Bannon. Okay, had no luck. It got outside leader, and then something came around to take it on 3 wide, and that fired Bannon up. He pulled his way to the front. They went hammer and tongs, and he boxed on relatively well, did Bannon, to suggest if he gets back to maiden company and can get his own way up on the speed, he's going to be awfully hard to beat. And Pacific Princess is another maiden in the race. I'm looking at these maidens. You'll see Pacific Princess getting home very well there in the John Barry colours, getting them up behind them. It got shut out of a gap at about the 300-metre mark. It was 21 into $11. Bannon led them up and faded and boxed on relatively well, 15 into 550. And the John Barry colours there, Pacific Princess, 21 into $11. If that gets back to maidens, and when it does, follow.
Righty-ho, yeah. A little bit for everyone there.
Hey,
We've got through another one anyway.
exactly. Another one in the box, Paulie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll notch that one up. Thanks for checking it out. And don't forget, we'll be back again next week with another edition of On the Nose.